Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
From AI-inspired insights from farmers.
If you're enjoying what we're doing here, we'd love to hear from you too.
Absolutely.
Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and definitely leave a comment telling us what you want to see more of on this deep dive.
We're always looking for new ideas, and we really value your feedback.
So what farm-related mysteries are you dying to uncover?
Right.
What questions are keeping you up at night? Let us know, and maybe we'll tackle them in a future deep dive. Today,
It's pretty alarming to think that we lose something like 40% of crops every year, to pests and diseases.
yeah,
It really kind of highlights just how delicate the balance is in our food systems and how much farmers have to overcome,
definitely.
especially those who are, just starting out.
Right.
So today we're going to dive into a development that's pretty exciting, frankly, AI and how it's starting to change agriculture.
Yeah, AI is really offering some innovative solutions to a lot of these challenges in agriculture,
Exactly.
like even preventing plant extinctions,
Yeah.
to, engineering tougher crops that can handle whatever climate change throws at them.
Right.
And then ultimately, of course, making sure we can all eat in the future.
It's a huge topic, and
Oh.
it's something that I think is especially relevant to anyone out there thinking about starting a farm or who's just starting out.
Definitely.
I know you're probably worried about things like losing your crops or how to farm sustainably and just making sure your farm can be successful in the long run. And we're going to tackle those concerns head on in this deep dive.
That's the plan.
So to get started, we've been looking at a bunch of really interesting sources about AI and agriculture.
Yeah, we've got reports on how AI is being used for plant conservation.
Okay.
We're looking at these new AI-powered platforms that are helping farmers manage and protect their crops.
Wow, that's cool.
And even how AI is being used to engineer crops that can handle climate change.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah, some pretty cutting-edge stuff.
So our mission today is to really distill the key insights from all this research
Yeah.
and give you a clear understanding of how AI-driven crop innovation
Right.
is not just some far-off futuristic idea, but something that's happening now
Absolutely.
and something that has the potential to change farming from a really tough job
Yeah.
to a much more secure and thriving industry.
And really contributing to our food security.
Exactly. And we're going to focus on real-world examples and what it all means for you if you're thinking about starting a farm. So let's jump in. Let's start with how AI is being used to actually help prevent plant extinctions.
Right. So there's this amazing work being done at the Royal Botanical Garden Kew in London.
Okay.
They've developed this AI model. It's basically a really smart pattern recognition system.
Uh-huh.
It's called the Bayesian additive regression tree.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is. But the important thing is that they've used this AI to try and predict the extinction risk for almost 330,000 different species of flowering plants.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a huge undertaking. And the big takeaway here is that AI can actually analyze tons of data and tell us which plants might be on the verge of disappearing.
So it's like an early warning system.
Exactly.
I'm curious, though, how does this AI actually learn to make these predictions?
Well, they trained it on this massive data set of over 53,000 plant assessments that were already done by experts at the IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature.
Oh, I see.
So basically, the AI learned from the best.
They learned from the humans?
Right, exactly. And by looking at all those assessments, it figured out what patterns and characteristics indicate that a plant species is in trouble.
Okay, that makes sense. And just how big of a problem is plant extinction?
It's a huge issue. The research suggests that about 45% of known flowering plants,
Wow.
and even more shocking, something like 77% of undiscovered vascular plants are at risk of going extinct.
77%.
Yeah, and climate change is a major factor.
It's crazy to think about all those plants disappearing.
I know, it's really worrisome.
So they made this prediction list. Is that something that people can actually use?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Anyone can access it.
Wow.
It's on the RBGQ's Plants of the World online portal.
Okay.
So scientists, conservation groups, even just regular people who are interested in plants can see which species in their area might be threatened.
So like if I'm out hiking and I see a cool flower, I can check if it's endangered.
Exactly. It gives you this really powerful tool to understand what's happening in your own backyard.
I love that. So we've talked about how AI can help us protect plants in general.
Right.
But let's shift gears a bit and talk about how AI can help farmers right now deal with pests and diseases that are damaging their crops.
Okay, so this is where AI can really make a difference on a day-to-day basis for a farm.
Okay.
There's this company called Fermata, and they've developed this AI platform called Croptimus.
Croptimus.
Yeah, It's designed to help farmers identify and deal with pests and diseases in real time.
So it's like having an AI scout watching your crops all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the idea. And it can spot problems early on so farmers can take care of them before they get out of hand.
So instead of treating the whole field, they can just treat the affected plants.
Right, exactly.
So how does Croptimus actually work on a farm? Like, what does it do all day?
Well, the really cool thing is that it's constantly monitoring the crops.
Okay.
It uses machine learning, which is basically where the AI learns from data
Uh-huh.
and computer vision so it can actually see and interpret images of the plants. Yeah, it's pretty sophisticated stuff.
That's wild.
So Croptimus is basically scanning the crops all day, every day. It's like a tireless, super observant scout.
Wow, that's incredible. And can it actually tell the difference between a healthy plant and a sick one?
Yep, that's exactly what it's trained to do.
Okay.
They use tons of data to train the AI.
Mm-hmm.
So the computer vision software can tell if a plant's healthy or if it's showing signs of pests or disease.
So it can like diagnose the plants?
In a way, yeah.
That's so cool. So what happens when it spots a problem? Does it just like send the farmer an email?
It's actually much more immediate than that.
Oh, wow.
It sends the farmer alerts right away.
Like a text message?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, hey, there's something going on in field 3.
Wow.
And it also gives them real-time analytics and these augmented reality maps that show the health status of all the crops.
Augmented reality.
Yeah, they can actually see an overlay of the crops
Wow.
with information about which ones are healthy and which ones are struggling.
That's amazing. So it's like a constant health report for their plants.
Exactly.
That's so cool. So what's the tech behind all this? What kind of AI wizardry is making this happen?
Well, for training the AI, they use PyTorch,
Okay.
which is a pretty popular tool for machine learning.
Uh-huh.
And they use NVIDIA DNN to speed things up.
Okay.
And then for the real-time analysis, the inferencing part,
Right.
they use a combination of cloud-based NVIDIA T4 GPUs on Amazon Web Services
Okay.
and these little on-site devices called NVIDIA Jetson Nanos
Okay.
that are optimized with NVIDIA TensorRT for super fast processing.
So it's like they're using the cloud for the heavy lifting.
Yes.
And then they have these smaller devices on the farm for real-time action.
Right. It's like a distributed intelligence network for the farm.
It's like the farm has a brain.
Kind of.
That's pretty amazing. So where do they put all this tech on the farm?
Well, Croptimus is actually really flexible.
Okay.
You can put the cameras and analysis units on poles in the field
Okay.
or on the ceilings of greenhouses.
Right.
Or you can attach them to drones or even mobile robots that can move through the crops.
It's like a whole army of AI scouts.
Basically, yeah.
So it sounds like this is a lot more efficient than how farmers usually scout their crops.
Yeah. Traditionally, farmers would have to walk through their fields and check everything manually.
Right.
And that takes a lot of time. And it can be hard to find enough trained scouts.
Yeah, and people get
Yeah.
tired.
Exactly.
Quickly. They miss things.
Right. Whereas an AI system like Croptimus never gets tired and it's always paying attention.
So is this going to replace farmers entirely?
No, not at all. It's really about giving farmers more tools and better information
Okay.
so they can make more informed decisions.
So it's like an assistant?
Right. Right. Like when Croptimus finds a problem, it lets the farmer know,
Uh-huh.
and then the farmer can send people out to take a closer look and decide what to do.
So it's not replacing human judgment.
Exactly.
It's just giving them a heads up.
Right. And that early detection can make a huge difference in terms of preventing crop losses.
And I imagine it could also help reduce pesticide use
Yeah, absolutely.
because they're only treating the areas that need it.
Right. Instead of spraying everything just in case.
Right.
So that's good for the environment, and it can save farmers money.
So it's a win-win.
Exactly.
This is really fascinating stuff, and I think it paints a really hopeful picture for people who are new to farming or thinking about getting into it.
Yeah.
Also, because you have access to all this amazing technology from the very beginning.
Right. It's like having a team of experts in your pocket.
So now let's zoom out a little bit and talk about how AI is being used to engineer crops that can handle climate change.
Okay, so this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Researchers at the Salk Institute are using AI to design what they call Salk ideal plants.
Salk ideal plants? What does that mean?
These are plants that are specifically engineered to be more resilient to climate change.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they're focusing on the root systems.
The roots.
Yeah.
Why the...
Because deeper roots can actually help plants absorb more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere
Oh,
and store it in the soil for longer periods of time.
So they're like natural carbon sinks.
Exactly.
That's really cool. So how are they using AI to study roots?
Well, it's pretty ingenious. They've taken this software called SLEEP.
Sleep.
Yeah, it stands for Social Leap Estimates, Animal Poses.
So it's for studying animals?
It was originally, yeah.
Okay.
It was designed to track animal movements in labs.
Mm-hmm.
But the researchers at Salk realized they could adapt it to study plant roots.
That's so clever.
Yeah, it's a great example of how AI can be used in unexpected ways.
So they renamed it to sleep roots, I guess.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so how does it actually work for analyzing roots?
Well, just like sleep can track points on an animal's body to see how it moves,
Right.
sleep roots can track points on a plant's roots to measure things like depth, width, size, and other characteristics.
So it's like giving the roots a full body scan.
Exactly.
And this is faster than doing it manually.
Oh yeah, way faster.
Okay.
It used to take scientists hours to measure roots by hand.
Wow.
Now with sleep roots, they can do it in minutes.
That's a huge time saver.
It is. It really opens up a lot of new possibilities for research.
So how do they actually get these images of the roots?
They have this whole setup with cylinders and water baths and infrared light,
Okay.
and they use automated turntables to take pictures of the roots from every angle.
It's like a photo shoot for roots.
Uh-huh, kind of. And then the AI analyzes all those images to extract all the measurements and identify key traits.
So what are they hoping to learn from all this root data?
Well, one of the things they're really interested in is how roots penetrate different types of soil.
Okay.
They've noticed that some roots have a hard time breaking through tough soil layers,
Right.
which is a problem if you want deeper roots.
Because they can't get down far enough.
Exactly.
So they're trying to figure out which genes help roots penetrate better.
It's exactly. By using sleep roots to analyze thousands of plants, they can start to identify the genetic mechanisms that make some roots better at digging deep.
So they're using AI to hack the roots.
Uh-huh. In a way, yeah.
That's pretty awesome. And once they identify those genes, what do they do with them?
That's where the engineering part comes in.
Okay.
They can use that knowledge to develop new crop varieties that have those desirable root traits.
Like the Salk ideal plants.
Exactly.
So these plants would be better at storing carbon
Yes.
and more resilient to climate change.
Exactly.
Pretty incredible to think about.
It is, and the potential impact is huge.
Yeah, because plants are grown all over the world.
Right. Billions of hectares.
So if we can make those plants better at storing carbon,
Right.
it could really help in the fight against climate change.
Absolutely. It's a game changer.
This is all so fascinating. We've talked about protecting plants, preventing crop losses, and even engineering super crops.
It's a lot to cover.
It really feels like AI is changing agriculture in a big way.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that.
It's shifting things from reactive to proactive,
Absolute.
from just dealing with problems to actually preventing them,
Right. And that's a huge shift for farmers.
especially for new farmers.
Yeah, they have access to all this information and technology that can really help them get started and be successful.
It's like having a whole team of experts on your side.
Exactly.
And I think it also makes farming more sustainable and profitable
For sure.
because you're reducing waste.
Right. Less wasted water, less wasted fertilizer, less wasted pesticide.
And you're getting more out of your crops.
Exactly.
So it's good for the environment and good for the farmer.
It's a win-win situation.
So let's talk about the bigger picture for a second.
Okay.
How does all this tie into the whole issue of food security?
Well, with the global population growing and climate change making it harder to grow food,
Right.
we need all the help we can get.
And AI can help
Absolutely.
because it gives farmers better data
Right.
so they can make better decisions. Exactly. They can use AI to predict weather patterns, analyze soil health, detect pests early, and optimize irrigation.
So they're not just guessing.
Right. They're making data-driven decisions.
That makes a lot of sense.
Hmm.
And what about adapting to climate change?
That's another area where AI is crucial.
Okay.
It's helping us understand how climate change is affecting plants.
Uh-huh.
And it's allowing us to develop new crop varieties and farming techniques that can withstand those changes.
So we can still grow food even as the climate changes.
Exactly.
That's really important. So we've talked about a lot of theoretical stuff,
Right.
but let's bring it back down to earth.
Okay.
What are some real-world examples of AI being used in agriculture today?
Well, we've already talked about a few.
Right.
Like the RBGQ's extinction prediction tool, which is helping us conserve plant biodiversity.
And that's important for the long-term health of agriculture.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Well, there's Fermata's Croptimus platform.
Which is actually being used by farmers right now to monitor their crops and detect pests and diseases.
It's like having an AI bodyguard for your plants.
Yeah, kind of. And then there's the Salk Institute's work with sleep roots,
Right.
which is helping us understand and engineer better root systems.
For those super crops.
Exactly.
And there are even bigger initiatives like Microsoft's AI for Earth program.
Oh, yeah, that's a great example of how AI is being used to tackle all sorts of environmental challenges.
Including agriculture.
Yes, they're doing things like using AI to create maps from aerial images.
Oh, wow.
And they have this platform called Wildbook for identifying animals,
Interesting.
which they've even adapted for use in plant research.
That's cool. So it seems like AI is already having a real impact on agriculture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not just a future possibility anymore. It's happening now.
That's really exciting. So for our listeners who are new to farming or thinking about starting a farm, what are some key takeaways from all this?
Okay, so if you're interested in farming, I'd say the first thing is to start exploring and learning about AI-powered tools and platforms.
Okay.
They're becoming more and more accessible and affordable.
So it's not just for big farms anymore.
Right. Anyone can benefit from this technology.
Yes.
Stay informed about the research on AI-engineered crops.
Okay.
And think about how you might be able to use those crops on your farm in the future.
That makes sense. What about data?
Data is super important.
Okay.
Even if you're just starting out, start collecting data on your farm.
Like what kind of data?
Anything you can track: soil conditions, weather patterns, crop yields, pest infestations, anything like that.
So basically be a data nerd.
Uh-huh. Yeah, kind of. The more data you have, the better you'll be able to use AI tools in the future.
That's a great tip. And what about people who aren't farmers? How can they support all this cool work that's being done?
Well, you can support research institutions and initiatives that are working on AI for sustainable agriculture,
Okay.
like RBGQ, the Salk Institute, and Microsoft's AI for Earth program.
Those are all good ones.
Yeah, and you can advocate for policies that support the development and adoption of these technologies.
Right.
And don't forget about citizen science.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point.
You can contribute data to platforms like Wildbook,
Mm-hmm.
which helps train and improve AI models for environmental conservation.
So everyone can play a role.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into AI-driven crop innovation,
Right.
I think it's clear that we're on the verge of a huge shift in how we grow and protect our food.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time to be involved in agriculture.
From preventing plant extinctions to reducing crop losses to engineering climate-resilient crops.
Right.
AI is giving us the tools to create a more sustainable and secure food system.
Absolutely.
So here's a final thought-provoking question for you as AI keeps evolving. How might these technologies not only guarantee our food future, but also change our whole relationship with nature and the way we farm?
It's a big question.
It is. And I think it's one that we all need to be thinking about as we move forward.
For sure.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been a real pleasure exploring this topic with you.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.
And to all our listeners, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in agriculture.
Hitting that like button and smash that subscribe.